All right, everyone, you remember when The Simpsons made their debut many, many years ago? It's been like, what, one of the longest running series of American history? Probably world history. It's like Doctor Who length at this point. You remember how it pissed off all your parents, probably? You know, if they were from the boomer generation, that they're like, their Gen X or millennial kids want to see edgy shit. And at the time, of course, the reason why The Simpsons took off is it was considered irreverent and edgy. It's sort of like if you look back at like All in the Family with the first toilet flush on TV when you heard that. Now, in retrospect, it's like, oh, a toilet flushing, yeah, it's in fucking every show. It doesn't matter, what age range it's for. It's like G-rated material. It's like it's a toilet, and people don't have a problem with it. At the time, it was considered edgy and very strange to people back in, what was it, the late 70s or something when that was running. Now they're killing off a character called Apu. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I don't really watch The Simpsons. I don't really watch any cartoons of that type. I don't find them particularly entertaining. But here's the thing. I am familiar enough with it because everything was Simpsons back in the 90s. As a sort of a 90s kid, it's everywhere. You can't escape it. You're hearing the fucking theme song. That I remember the Simpsons Road Rage was basically like a proto Grand Theft Auto style 3D racing game. And it was very similar because you could sort of drive around in what amounted to a very small open world and run people over and stuff. That was N64 era, so the graphics a little bit dated at this point. Apparently this character pissed people off recently, and there was controversy over the character being a racial stereotype. Now, I remember when, I think it was Vox and some of these other groups, started rambling about this character being a racial stereotype and therefore unacceptable. There was no controversy. The entire internet, for the most part, agreed that they were being stupid, the character was not controversial, and nobody gave a fuck. People will give a fuck now, like, fans of the show will probably be like, well, fuck. Yeah, now it'll be less funny. I mean, there are probably some people who think that's the funniest character. Meanwhile, the stereotype of the fat, middle-aged, bumbling dad with apparent brain damage, that's okay as a stereotype. The soccer mom stereotype is okay. The bratty kid stereotype is okay. The other, racial stereotypes will be fine. It's only this one character that caused controversy. There's no controversy. I love how the media, especially the tech side of the media here, they're trying to make it a self-fulfilling prophecy, where they're trying to actually convince people that it is controversial so that it'll become self-fulfilling. So they'll say, oh yeah, thank goodness that controversial character is gone. It's not controversial. This is The Simpsons you're talking about. It's like, yeah, fucking Family Guy kills off a racial stereotype character. Fucking American Dad, fucking Rick and Morty or something. One of these things, Metalocalypse or something, when that was running. It was funnier than any of these others. That was the one that I really enjoyed. Pickle, that one, was it Mr. Pickles or whatever, with the dog that's actually Satan? It's like, yeah, I'm sure that they'll become politically correct too. Here's the problem. Yesterday's edgy is not edgy today. Except that a few remnants, a few shreds of what was once interesting about yesteryear's entertainment always pisses off the next generation of moralists. And so they'll target it. It's sort of like alt-tech, they're targeting that too. People who support the politically correct sort of bullshit. They don't seem to realize that the progenitor reason why such a character's funny is because you're laughing at the stereotype. You're not laughing at the character because, like, oh, this Indian person or that dumb, bumbling dad. You're laughing at the stereotype because it's actually a mockery of the stereotype. It's an inversion of the meaning that these literalist moralists actually view. These people just can't take a joke, though. They don't like humor. In the most literal sense, people who enjoy censorship tend to be the sort of folks that can't crack a joke. They can't take a joke. If you try to joke around with them, they'll find something wrong with it. They'll find something wrong with you, and then they'll browbeat you about it. Yeah, absolutely. I've met people like that. No sense of humor whatsoever. They're incapable of seeing the funny side of life because they're incapable of taking anything other than hyper-literally because they're very sensitive, fragile people. And so because a couple of fragile people decided to write a couple of moron articles that were roundly mocked and ridiculed online, The Simpsons has decided to write off a character. And it's very funny to see them say, and then they're trying to make the excuse, well, we just don't want to have any controversy. The Simpsons doesn't want to have controversy? Do you remember the do you remember the 2000s? Do you remember the last couple of decades of running this fucking show that you're running here? Do you remember all the controversy back then? Hell, again, with Simpsons Road Rage, there was controversy over that. Oh my god, little Jimmy's playing this terrible video game. He's running people over. It's gonna make him violent and shit. There was non-stop controversy. This is like Howard Stern deciding he's not gonna changing Gary's name or something. And now he's Gary the Conqueror now, by the way, for those of you who don't understand. And sort of like moderating things to be sensitive. Why the hell would you want to be sensitive? The whole goal of entertainment is to be irreverent. The whole goal of comedy, of satire, of mocking culture itself is to be irreverent towards it. To hold up a mirror and say, look how fucking ugly this culture is. Look how fucking stupid these people are. Look how fucking moronic these folks are. That's the whole point of it. So no wonder people come to YouTube for entertainment. They find plenty of irreverence here. Yeah, for a while. Eventually that'll change too. Unfortunately, what'll happen is they're going to crack down more and more on anything that's entertaining, aka anything that's edgy. It's like bum fights, you can't have those. Tourette's guy will get kicked off. Can't have alt tech. You can't have political discourse. You can't insult one another. So basically, you can't have anything. We're going to need a whole fucking new internet. This is just a symbol of cable going the way of the dinosaur, though. It's like the cable news is doing the same things. No, we're not going to talk about this story. It might rile people up. It might make people uncomfortable. Meanwhile, fear cycle kicks in on CNN. Can't wait to make a video about that. Did you see CNN's fucking front page this morning? Yeah, talk about controversial topics. Yeah, it's totally ridiculous. So no, they shouldn't kill the character off. I mean, they can. It's their franchise, but there's no controversy over this material. The Simpsons is no longer a controversial series anyway. It's considered family friendly. When it first broke, it was like, oh my god, it's terrible. It's like MTV generation cartoons. Some of the stuff on Nickelodeon was sort of like that. Kind of edgy, like, what's it called? Rocko's Modern Life, or even SpongeBob when it comes out. Yeah, look for SpongeBob to temper itself. Yeah, we're no longer going to do those moments where SpongeBob is like a gory skeleton and his skin is coming off because he's afraid of something. That might trigger somebody. It might trigger somebody's war flashbacks, or some kid might get violent because of it. Patrick is no longer going to be considered dumb. He's smart now. We're going to write it in that he became a genius now. He's going to be the nerdy character. No, we're no longer going to make references about Squidward maybe being a little bit homosexual. We're no longer going to do that because it's unacceptable. It's too edgy. We don't want controversy because we're afraid. You've become the same cowards that were afraid of your own series to begin with. They were afraid of you. They were afraid of The Simpsons. They were afraid of Grand Theft Auto and all of these other things that now are like, it's passé. Nobody cares anymore. And so you've become the same soccer moms that you once fought against. Same as you. Satellite radio they've got like a diversity officer at Sirius now. It's hilarious. It's crazy. So now the online world is doing their job for them. They could have kept being entertaining. Instead, they're slowly pissing away their entertainment value. They'll die off. They'll become vestigial. They'll become nostalgic, actually. It'll be very funny. That's about all. Peace out.